Live at the Ashes to Rubies podcast and live stream. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today, where we talk about life and recovery and so much more. Are these praying hands? Do you class? Yeah. Is that the praying hand? Like, I know the praying hand emoji is like this. That I don't think there is an emoji like that. There's this emoji. Yeah. Hey, how do you pray? Do you there's different styles of praying. And I'm always surprised when I hear somebody say that they get on their knees beside their bed and they fold their hands and they pray every night on their knees. And fun fact, the apostle Peter in the Bible, he was known as knobby knees, camel knees, because he was always on his knees praying. I've never incorporated that practice in my prayer life. Yeah. But we pray before meals often. I know that sometimes that's uncomfortable. I know that when I was growing up, we had to pray for every meal wherever we were. And sometimes I find that because not everybody practices these things. True. So I'm a bit sensitive to that. I remember an older guy that I used to meet with monthly for breakfast. We had to pray every meal, and I remember we prayed, and the waitress came in with the toast, and it was and then she dropped the toast. But then when she left, she came back and she goes, "Are you guys Christians?" And my friend's like, "Yes, we are." And then she talked about her spirituality in a little bit. Yeah, it was really cool. We were a witness. We were a witness. How do you be a witness? Do you find it uncomfortable praying in public? I remember my first discipleship journey with my pastor, and I was getting to know the Bible and following him around. And I remember once we went to this coffee house, and he went there to meet somebody that was struggling with addiction, and we got to pray for the guy. And we were both on the same side. And I remember he finished praying. I was like, that was like a great prayer. God is going to deliver this guy from his addiction. And then there was a moment of silence, and I was just like, yeah. And then I got a stab in the ribs. And he's like, "You pray." And I'm like, I had to pray out loud. But I find those things at the beginning was very awkward. Mm-hmm. And then now that I am an ordained minister with the title of Reverend be in front of my name, that where I go, oftentimes people will look around. "Oh, John, you can pray." I get like picked. Now I'm the prayer. And then I try to pass it off. I'm like, "Well, here, let's how about Vicky prays?" What spiritual practices do you do that are fun that maybe other people don't? Like, do you have a style when you pray?
I don't think I have any spiritual practices that other people don't. Like, I think I just have the known spiritual practices.
Yeah, me too. I think I know that I've had friends before that read their Bible on the bus. Like, I don't do that. Like, I just don't
take the bus.
No, I know. But if I took the bus, it would probably make me throw up if I started reading.
Oh yeah, it would.
I'd get dizzy. But I've had friends that do that, and it opens up a lot of conversations. They've had many conversations.
Well, that just depends. Like, are you talking about? Because I think there's a distinction between like spiritual practices that are between me and God, or are you trying to talk about practices that are?
I'm not trying to. I'm just having a conversation.
Yeah. I'm just trying to distinguish. Like, I can practice spiritual practices in a public way.
Yeah. No, I thought that there's opportunities. I'm not a public display, but like I don't do necessarily that kind of thing. But very cool.
Yeah.
Let's get on our knees and pray. Imagine somebody gets me to pray. I've done this one before, but where I feel awkward to pray and somebody nominates me to pray, And so we're at the dinner table, and I said, would everybody hold hands? And then they don't ask you after that. Or you could just say, everybody on their knees, we're going to pray. Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's different ways of practicing our spirituality, and you give a good example of like you go Christmas shopping with your wife in the mall, and you're like, oh, we're gonna meet in the food court at noon, and then you come up the escalator and you see her across the room, and so some people are very demonstrative, like, hey, I see you over there, I'm over here, and then other people are very quiet and will just kind of slip up to her and like, hey. And so I heard you share that again the other day, and I think it's important to note that neither is wrong. And actually, I may take those different approaches at different times in my life, but I just don't. There's not one right or wrong approach, and so I do think that spirituality is a very personal growth process. And like, I like how you shared that you were very uncomfortable with praying at the beginning. I think that's true of
I was uncomfortable bringing my Bible in public at the beginning.
Yeah. And so I think that prayer can be and should be a very private thing. But it's also good for me as a human being to challenge myself in areas that I'm not necessarily comfortable in. How do I grow? How do I learn? And so sometimes being in situations that are uncomfortable isn't a terrible thing.
No, not at all. Jesus confronted the show of it. The show of donating money, the show of these long-winded prayers, and look how theologically sound my prayers are. So he actually confronted that kind of stuff. So it's about what's the motivation of my heart and what's God leading me to do. And our relationships are private. Like our more intimate relationships are very private. So putting on a show, I don't think is good for anybody.
They're not entirely private, though. I mean, we have the intimacy of our relationship is private, but we have an intimate relationship that we don't keep it. It's not like we keep it secret. Bottled. We don't keep it secret. I mean, people around us know. And so I think that's a distinction that's important when we're bringing that conversation.
I remember my pastor left for the summer vacation for a month, and we were doing a Bible study in a very busy park. And he's like, "Okay, John, you're in charge of the Bible study." And I'm like, I felt insecure bringing my Bible to the park, and you got I had, and it brought me out of my safe zone, like my comfort zone, which wasn't a healthy thing. So now I got to be able to be a lot more bolder in that. So that was good. All right. We got our March 10th morning meditation. We are going to take an idea out of this book and just talk about it quickly and then leave it with you for you and God to talk about.
All right. So this reading says, why did I come into Al-Anon? Most of us came because we were desperate, lonely, bewildered about our alcoholic's behavior. The important thing to consider is this: am I desperate enough to try the 12 steps, even if I don't believe anything is wrong with me? I came wanting to find out how to change my spouse, and the first thing I was told, or my child, and the first thing I was told was that the only person I can possibly change is myself. If I really want a new way of life, I will first look deep within myself and admit my own shortcomings. Today's reminder: it is not the alcoholic who is my responsibility. My job is to do something about my own faults, my own part in the mess our life has become. Can I admit that my own irrational behavior helped to create the mess? I am sure I will realize it in time with the help of Al-Anon. I pray for humility to accept the fact that I need help and for the firmness of purpose to take action to get it. I ask aid of my higher power in striving for a better way of life.
Wow. Speak of a personal relationship, right? And the gift of desperation of both sides of addiction, of coming into going, I need help. Like for you wanted to get help before me, but you wanted help.
Tell me how to fix my husband.
For me. It's fun. Haha, we can laugh.
Tell me, or
laugh back at that.
A lot of the groups that I went to, there was a lot of parents in there too. So it was like, tell me how to fix my kid. My kid's going off the rails. What do I need to do?
What are the boundaries?
How do I
what can I live
them?
with? And so now this is saying the gift of desperation is actually for you to have a personal relationship with a God that's going to solve all of your problems. And your problems aren't on the outside, they're on the inside. Right. So then you develop that. The program allows us to see where we're blocked from God and walk into a closer relationship. But that gift of desperation of like, something needs to change. Something needs to change. I don't want him to die. I don't want them to die. I can't live like this anymore. He's gone for 3 days. He's taking money out of the bank account. All the, like, you can't live like that. Yeah. And so I remember when you put a line in the sand and it had a buffer zone of 2 years. Like, I am so sick of living like this. I'm not going to live like this for until another 2 years.
I didn't tell you that.
I know this now.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that. I just journaled it.
You journaled
I found it later
in a public blog. And I think that shows us that we all need a relationship with God. And so now if I have unity with God and I have his love, now I'm able to love you. And so I think there are situations where the other person that wants to get help for the situation, the other person actually ends up getting help. And then it could lead the other person into recovery, but it could lead the other person out of the relationship. Who knows? And we're not here, like, none of us should be giving advice into, unless it's a physically abusive, mentally abusive situation, then you need to get out of it.
Right.
But I know that I do not like giving people advice upon our relationship, like how that all worked. It's like, oh, like, I remember talking to a guy that does counseling for a living and he's in recovery, and we were telling him about our story a little bit, and he's like, you're a miracle. Like, that never happens. Like, so we don't want to give any advice out of what happened in our journey. It's just like, find God.
Because it wasn't that we had a clue what we were doing.
Do LifeLab. Have your own relationship with God. So we give you that. Are you in a desperate situation? If you are, would you sign up for LifeLab? Would you get involved in the 12 steps? Would you not just go to meetings, but start to formulate a relationship with God? Because God will solve all of your problems, and they are internal, not external. So we leave it with that on this beautiful Thursday. Get on your knees and pray. All right. See you guys later. Bye.